What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show, Road Edition. There's a big difference between home and road edition for our post-game shows this year, and the Blazers once again continue the theme that they've set all season long. They conclude a 0-3 road trip. They are now 1-10 on the road. They get blown out tonight, 107-129. This was not a good second half from the Blazers. They were in this game at halftime, only down 4, then gave up a 10-1 run to start the second half, and Utah didn't look back from there. They end up scoring a whopping 76 points in the second half.
Jesus.
76 points, Eric. That's not a good number to give up in a half, is it?
Not really.
Yeah, so shout out to you if you were a channel member and watched our members-only watch party. You got to experience this travesty with us. This was very, very tough. Utah ends up scoring 41 in the third quarter and 35 in the fourth quarter. The Blazers couldn't really buy buckets in the first half, but defensively, we're okay in order to stay in this game. The second half, obviously awful. 41-35, Portland got outscored in that third quarter. So it just continues the theme, Eric. This team cannot play both sides of the ball on the road. They can't score in the first half, but their defense is okay. And then in the third quarter, they finally start scoring, but give up 41 points. And this is the result you get. This team is Jekyll and Hyde at home and road, and that continues. But the good news is there's only 4 road games until January 13th. So if you are frustrated with the losing, we come home and have a ton of home games, and the Blazers have been great at home. So overall, this team is just very split, and I have no idea what this team is because there's no reason they should be this hot and cold depending on if they're at home or not. So Eric, what are your thoughts coming away from this 22-point loss?
This might surprise you. I don't like the coaching right now.
Okay, why?
Well, it's one of two things in my mind. Either our game plans are deteriorating as the game goes on, and we're allowing guys as they get tired to just be lazy and not get through picks and to auto switch and to not show that scrap and aggressiveness and hustle that Chauncey said we had to have in order to be a good defensive team. And so it's either his game plans are to be super conservative and laid back and not do it, or he's not holding the people accountable. And not only is he not holding them accountable, he's switching the game plans to let them be lazy. And I don't think that's it. So, so I don't like the way we're just letting our guards, in particular Dame and CJ, just be complete lazy. I mean, they just don't want to play defense right now. And if you're going to hold them accountable, you either have to make sure they're fighting through the screens, or you got to take them out of the game. And it's as little as that. It's as simple as that. CJ, I don't know how many minutes Dame ended up playing, but I know
Dame played
CJ
31, CJ played 38.
38 minutes for CJ. And I mean, those guys just don't want to fight through a screen. So the only thing I could think of is if we changed our design, our game plan at halftime to not go through screens, which, as you talked about during the game, might have been not the worst strategy, but this is like multiple road games now where we haven't had any sort of fight through screens. And I've mentioned this several times. You cannot be a good defensive team if you just die or get screened to where you're completely taken out of plays just constantly within a game. And that's what happens when we give up 76 points. So either Chauncey needs to stay on them about getting through screens, or he needs to look in the mirror about if his accountability thing is really truly being utilized as holding everyone accountable to the same thing. And I'm not saying you just bench Dame or CJ or whatever, but at the same time, if they're not going to, if they look like they look tonight where they just don't even care about getting through a screen, I mean, that either tells me that the coach is okay with it if they leave him out there, or I'm sick of it. And people will say it's the roster, it's the small lineup, it's blah blah blah. It's not, dude. These people, there's so many below average, unathletic players in this league that get through screens perfectly fine, and it's not a matter of, it's not a matter of like, can they do it? I've seen Dame and CJ at times, even in the first half of this game, they did it fine. And at times we looked pretty good defensively in the first half. The only problem we had was some of our rotations on Gobert and Whiteside when they were streaking down the lane after Nurk or Zeller had to help off pick and roll. Sometimes they got left open, and you can live with that as long as it's not too many times. And I mean, we gave up like 4 or 5 of those in the first half, but only giving up 50 points overall and not giving up a lot of open threes. You can live with that. But the second half, where not only are you dying on every screen, but you're not rotating properly, you're giving up wide open threes, you're not stopping anyone from putting the ball on the floor. I mean, we let like Trent Forrest drive the ball and score on layups and stuff like that. I mean, we're just not even like trying to stop anyone. And I just wish I could ask Chauncey why we are not seeing any of that scrap he said we had to have, because quite frankly, this team looks like it's given up.
I do have a quote for him. Chauncey, after this game, we'll watch the interview later maybe, but yeah. I see a tweet here. Chauncey said, "We play with casualness and no urgency on the road."
Yeah, but that to me, he's enabling that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. At some point, this is going to make me want to trade CJ more, and I'm never going to be okay with trading CJ for like Shetty Osman and Lauri Markkanen or some crap package where we get 2 mediocre players back for CJ. Like, I'm never going to be down for that, but at some point, it's like, the players have to have pride, man, and the guards have to take pride defensively, and it's disheartening seeing how they will not take pride defensively on the road. And it's just confusing because at home, I don't have that complaint at all. At home, I'll see them fighting through screens and they'll be hustling. They're solid defenders at home. So it just comes down to this, right? People say Dame and CJ can't coexist defensively because of their height. I don't think that's the case at all. The issues right now are not because of height. People will say they can't coexist because they were both incapable defensively. But it's not that they're incapable. The issue is they're not playing with enough energy. They're not giving enough effort on that end. Now, if it's the case where you hold CJ McCollum accountable, which Chauncey needs to do more of, and if you hold him more accountable, he still is slacking off on defense like this, and same thing with Dame, you got to trade one of them, and at that point, that's CJ, right? Like, you still play Dame because Dame is a much better player. You still keep Dame. It's tough when you have 2 guys at the point of attack, on the perimeter, that won't bust through screens, will just die on screens, and will open up too much and let guys drive past them, and it results in a situation where Yusuf Nurkic has to try and cover for everything. Robert Covington has to try and cover for everything. And
there was that one play where Nurk had to cover like 8 different times for people messing up.
And he did, and then he got the board too. Like, that's the thing is people have hated on Nurkic. Dude has to do so much for our guards on the road, and it's just frustrating because people say it's because of the roster, and I'm sure we have, I'm not looking at chat right now, but I'm sure we have people in chat screaming about the roster right now, but if it was the roster, it would be the same way at home too, and it's not. So it's a disconnect on the road. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but if it was the roster, then we wouldn't be able to be the defensive team we have been at home. Teams are better at home, but not by the amount that we are. We're what, 9-1 at home and 1-10 on the road? That's absurd. I've never seen that. I've never seen that much of a difference. So it just becomes a situation where we have to figure out why we have no urgency and a casualness on the road, as Chauncey says, and we have to fix the problem. And right now there's no progress. That's what's frustrating, is right now we're 21 games in, and I don't think they've made any progress on that. So, I mean, if it's a situation where Chauncey tries everything he can possibly do, which I don't think he is, but if he does, and it's still not better, then we're talking CJ McCollum trades that maybe I wouldn't have considered this past offseason. Because, you know, it's CJ and Dame have been enabled for years under Terry Stotts with their lack of defense. And now they're being enabled the same. So it's just a frustrating situation where something has to change. We can't just keep doing the same old thing. Now, it's interesting, though, because it sets up a situation where we only have 4 games for the next month and a half. 4 road games. That's it. We have like 15 home games. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, at some point, you would think that maybe we become I don't know. Like, I feel like at some point it's going to average out. Either we're going to start playing like we do at home or close to how we play at home on the road, or in the next month and a half, we're going to start seeing some of these road tendencies show up at home because we have so many home games.
Yeah. So I want to make 2 points. One, I haven't given up on Billups, despite what I just said. I still think he is the right person if they're going to get this team in the right direction. He just has the problem that I mentioned before the end of the year, before the beginning of the year. You said it wasn't possible, but
I didn't say that. I said I didn't think it was going to happen, but I never said it wasn't possible.
But there are plenty of coaches who can't get their philosophies to translate to the court. And I just hope Billups can learn. He's still trying to figure things out as well. That's part of the problem is if things aren't working, like, how is he going to switch it up? What's he going to do differently? So we're still waiting to kind of see what he does from here. But I haven't given up on him as a coach.
I don't... With this team, everybody makes, like, all or nothing statements. Mm-hmm. And with this team right now, I don't want to make a single all or nothing statement because, like, for half their games, when they play at home, they're phenomenal, right? So I wouldn't sit here and say that Chauncey hasn't gotten anything to translate. He hasn't gotten anything to translate. Well, yeah, but, like, just in general, like, he hasn't gotten anything to translate on the road. Mm-hmm. At home, I think you see his team and everything that he's been preaching. So that's the thing is, like, everybody, like, I mean, after our 4-game home win streak, everybody's like, okay, things are going better. I like this. And then after we have a 3-game losing streak, people are jumping off the cliff. I mean, let me thank the dono here from ads, $5 dono. He says, done, no excuses this time. We're done. Screw accountability. There is no way this team deserves its fans. Pathetic. We look pathetic. I appreciate the $5 dono ads, and that's kind of the attitude, and I get the frustration. But it's like, on the road, we're horrible. At home, we're phenomenal. It's just like we got to figure out. So like that just shows to me it's not a capability issue, and that's why I'm not going to sit here and make like all or nothing statements. They have to figure it out on the road. You can't just be a home only team, and especially as you get into the playoffs, because you won't have a high enough seed to just get by on your home court advantage. You probably won't have any if you can't win on the road. But I don't know. You have 2 different Trailblazers teams right now. And everybody right now is making statements based on one of those 2 teams. But that second team has still been there at home. They've won 9 games in a row at home. And lost 10 out of 11 on the road. So it's just a situation where they come home. They have to figure out how to get this. I just want to see 75% of what they show at home on the road. Because I think that's a solid road team. So I don't know. That's why I'm not going to sit here and necessarily make all or nothing statements that I see in chat.
Yeah. And my second point is Adam Smith says, but Eric, players got to play. It's still players that win the game. Players have to bring their own energy. That's character and maturity. Yes, but here's what happens, okay? Dame doesn't fight through a pick, right? Nurk has to switch, right? Chauncey doesn't say anything to him, right? Mm-hmm. Dame's just gotta get through that and want it more. So next time, Dame doesn't get through the pick. Nurk switches. Chauncey doesn't say anything, right? And then it comes to a point where Dame's just like auto-switching because Chauncey's not saying anything to him about it, And I don't know if he's saying something or not, but this is why this has gone on for so long. So Dame, I'm sorry, but like Dame and CJ have to be told that that's not okay. They aren't good enough defenders to just like let them play however they want, and hopefully their energy and effort will like lead them to be really good defenders, right? So like Chauncey's got to be on that from the first time they mess up and be like, no, that's not acceptable. And instead, it seems like you pointed out in this game, it seems like we're changing our game plan almost to match like the laziness that Dame and CJ are doing, instead of like telling them that's not okay and like either get through this pick or I'm going to find someone who can, and that's accountability. Instead, we're just like, okay, let's just not worry about getting through those then. Let's just switch with the big and just don't even try to get through them anymore. Like that's kind of the attitude we have. And it's driving me crazy because then people will tell me like, see, told you it was the roster. See, told you this team could never play good defense. And it's like, well, they're not even trying to play good defense. So like, it's just frustrating to me. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing is like, people will argue that, oh, well, maybe there's nothing a coach can do. Maybe it's not that Chauncey isn't holding him accountable enough. Maybe there's just nothing a coach can do. And the one reason how you know that's not true is CJ McCollum played 38 minutes tonight on the first night of a back-to-back. 38 minutes. Anthony Simons was by far, on both sides of the floor, our best guard. And he only plays 29 minutes. I see, Anthony can't even get 30 minutes in this game. Which is crazy. And that's with Norm out. And them going with some Dame, CJ, Ant lineups. CJ, despite how rough he was defensively, and offensively I don't think he was necessarily as terrible as some people think. He was 7 for 17 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, 6 assists. Like, not an efficient game, so it was below average. It was a poor offensive game. I don't think it was horrible. He passed the ball. The whole team kind of struggled to make shots at times. But defensively, you have to hold him accountable. Even if he's having a solid offensive game, even if he's having a better offensive game than this, you have to hold him accountable. But he's playing 38 minutes. So that shows you that he's not being held accountable enough. Because if he plays defense like this, he shouldn't be playing more than 30 minutes. And I don't care if you have to play Nasir Little at the freaking 2. At some point, you have to make a statement. At some point, you have to make a change. What does it matter? Shoot, play a 5 big lineup at this point. Because we're losing every game on the road unless we're playing the Houston Rockets. Right? So it doesn't even matter. So set a tone. The only way you're going to get change on the road is if you hold players more accountable. And if that means playing CJ 20 minutes in this game because he's not busting his ass on defense and just subbing him out randomly after he has a lazy defensive possession, you do it. Same thing with Dame. Now, Dame only played 31 minutes, but still, you have to get the message across through playing time, and that's not being done when CJ's playing 38 minutes and playing defense like he did tonight.
And, I mean, we got into the lack of ball mid offense, the lack of this is the other coaching thing for me. Nurk's been absolutely dominant the last 3 games. We start the second half. He basically keeps us in the game with effort, offensive rebound, putbacks, all just like him doing it on his own effort plays in the second quarter. And how do we reward him? By not letting him touch the ball like at all in the third quarter unless he gets another rebound or if it's like a dribble handoff to give it right back to one of the guards. And
he didn't get a shot in the third quarter.
And we don't even try to. I mean, he beasted Gobert down low a couple times, took it right at him and scored. And we don't even like try to give him the ball in the third quarter. And we can't score. We can't keep up with them. It's just I don't understand that because if you're basing stuff on how it's going down on the floor, we're not. We're just basing things on what like the ideal should be. It's like Dame and CJ should be these great offensive players, but we have other offensive players that are more efficient than them this season so far, and we're not utilizing that at all, and we're not taking advantage of it, and it's frustrating.
And it's frustrating because he's been elite the past 3 games, all road games. He's been great the last 3 road games. The whole team struggles on the road, but Nurkic the last 3 games, phenomenal. First game against Sacramento, 28 points, 17 minutes, and 28 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists in 32 minutes, 12 for 17 shooting. Second game against Golden State, 24 minutes, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 for 10 shooting. Tonight, 24 points in 27 minutes, 10 boards, 9 for 13 shooting from the field, 1 for 1 from the three-point line. He's been phenomenal. But here's the thing, like, he only had 3 fouls today, and he only plays 27 minutes. I don't understand that. If he's winded, maybe take him out for a couple minutes, then sub him back in with the bench, because our bench, needed a little bit of help tonight too, generating higher quality shots. Anthony Simons was on fire, but when he wasn't shooting, our bench struggled. Sub him out twice a half and get him 3 different stints of playing time. Find ways to play him more. And here's the thing, even if he is tired, how are you going to get him into shape? You play him through his tiredness. All right? He shouldn't be playing 27 minutes tonight when he only has 3 fouls. He wasn't in foul trouble, and he was great. So I don't understand that. And that's the thing, is like, he's our best player, only playing 27 minutes. CJ plays 38 minutes tonight, and there's games where CJ has played horrible on both sides of the floor, even worse offensively than he did today, and he's played like 40 minutes. So that's exactly what we're talking about. That disproves any notion that Chauncey is holding them accountable enough, in my opinion.
Yep. And so then I get KJD saying, Eric is acting like Dame and CJ are young players. They are veterans. They should know how to get my screens by now. Okay, cool. I mean, yeah.
I mean, probably, but they didn't have a coach their entire career that held them accountable for getting through screens properly.
First 9 years, Coach Stotts literally had Dame hide and run to the corner, and whenever he got screened, just switch off to the guy in the corner and let someone else take care of it and stuff like that. So those are bad habits that he learned that he needs to get rid of, and that's why. Okay, I'm just going to read this dono because it's going to go into what I say. Daniel G, thanks for the $2 dono. Anyone think Dame's getting to get himself traded? I don't know if that's worded quite right, but
I don't know what that means.
Dame is not trying to get traded. That's so dumb. Like, God.
Eric, argue this for 30 seconds, because we argue this all the time, and we don't need to argue this for like 2 minutes. Dame, if he wanted to be traded, would demand a trade. That simple. He's not going to tank his performance on the court and not ask for a trade when he could easily just go to the front office and say, trade me.
Yeah.
So that's just ridiculous.
And 10 toes in, man. It's not. But anyways, here's the thing. Dame wants to win. If Chauncey tells him, look, man, this is not winning basketball. You are causing this team to lose by being this lazy and not fighting through this screen here. So I either have to hold you accountable or you need to stop doing that crap. Dame's not going to, then respond by being like, I don't want to be here then. I don't want to win. I want to get traded. He's not going to do that. Dame's going to be like, you know what, Chauncey? That is 100% right. That is my fault. I want you to tell me whenever I don't get through this screen, whenever you notice me doing this. And I know part of it is because Dame was hurt tonight and he was holding his hip most of the game, but then don't, put someone in that's healthy then. I mean, because he's not doing anything. There was a couple times where he brought the ball up and literally just tried to find CJ to pass it to him because he didn't want to do anything. So it's a situation where Dame is coachable and anyone can be taught how to get through a screen. It's not like once you turn 30 years old, you can't learn anything new. You can't change how to you can't just automatically die on screens because there's no way to ever improve that because that's a skill that you either have it or you don't, right? No, man. You can get through a screen. And it doesn't take an elite defender to get through a screen quicker or to get through it properly. But we go through screens the wrong direction, and then the person going through the screen just stops on a dime, and we're stuck halfway between going over and under, and it's clunky, man. And it's all things that can still be fixed, and that's why I'm not worried about it long term. But at some point, in order for it to work out in a maximum way, they have to start calling it out when it happens. And I just feel like I've said this for every road game since we started losing. We need an aggressive game plan, man. We need to be super aggressive. If we're gonna give up 76 points and a half, why not at least be because we are trapping every ball handler and we're giving up open shots because but we also forced some turnovers maybe and got some points that way because our offense was crap tonight too. So why don't we try to get out and run and create some havoc that way instead of just giving up 76 points playing a super ultra conservative defense that doesn't fight through picks. It drives me crazy.
Yep, I mean, I agree with all of that. Shout out to Daniel G for another donor, $5 donor. He says, let me clarify. I place most of the blame on O'Shea for years of bad choices, the players for not adapting to the new play style. We need to retool. First off, it's going to take time for them to adapt, but Chauncey has to hold them accountable for adapting too, right? Like, it's going to take time when they've done things the same way for years. And the thing is they have adapted to the new play style at home, right? Half the time they've adapted. The other half of the time they haven't. So to sit here, this is why I'm tired of all or nothing statements, because it's like, we play a road game, we forget what we do at home, right? It's just out the window. It doesn't exist. And it's sitting here, like, people sit here and say the players have not adapted to the new play style. But half their games, they're playing a completely new brand of basketball and doing it effectively and winning games 9 in a row at home. So that's why I don't like the all or nothing statements, because it doesn't make sense, because this team is two different teams. So,
well, like, for example, the first half, we gave up very few open threes. It was pretty good defending the perimeter, in my opinion, in the first half. And then second half, like, 2 out of the first, like, 4 or 5 possessions, we give up a wide open Joe Ingles 3 that he has, like, 5 seconds to catch the ball and just square up and shoot the ball. And that's not because we have crappy players or because, like, this team can never be better than it is or anything like that. It's because the players aren't doing what they're supposed to do on defense. And it's not, I don't understand why, like, people think that's not correctable, because we saw it in the first half of this game look fairly good. It's just a matter of them not doing it for 48 minutes. So once they start figuring it out and doing it for the whole game, and when they don't do it, it needs to stand out more than it is. It just seems like everyone's doing it, you know?
You know what drives me freaking crazy, and why I can't read chat, dude, after losses like this, because literally like 5 minutes ago I said this team has to figure things out on the road. They cannot just go by being this bad on the road. They have to figure things out. But what I've been saying is this team has been doing the right things at home, so it's not 100% they can't pick this up, or 100% they're doing the wrong things all the time, right? They're a good team at home, bad team on the road. They have to figure out on the road. And you always get some freaking dude that comes into chat and says, you're like, so you're cool with being 40-1 at home and 1-40 on the road? That's just dandy? Bruh, get out of here with that crap, man. If you're not gonna listen to what I say, don't sit here and give me crap in chat, all right? I'm gonna start putting people in 5-minute bans for just saying ridiculous stuff like that when they can't listen. Like, just, you can have your opinions. That's the stuff that annoys me, though. You can disagree and think this team is incapable, and we can have a conversation about it. But when you come in posting that crap, it's annoying. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of that. It's ridiculous. It's dumb. It's straight up dumb. So I just want to call that crap out. I'm tired of seeing that in chat, and I'm gonna start. And mods, if you see some utter crap like that in chat, you can go ahead and put 5-minute bans out, because that's just ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing that stuff. I want to discuss basketball with you guys. That's the fun part of this. Now, I don't respond to chat a lot, especially in losses, and this is why. Is because I start looking at it and I see stuff like that, and it's hard not to get annoyed by it. It's honestly like, I'm a human being. Like, I get annoyed by that type of stuff, and I don't want to sit here ranting at people that are watching. But when you post crap like that, and it's just complete crap, makes me want to rant at you. All right. So we can have a conversation, or you could post stuff like that, and we're gonna start just filtering that out with 5-minute bans. We're gonna do that more. Not anything to do with your opinion. It's basically just trolling. All right. So
you just sound like differing opinions, Tori.
Yeah, because that's what he said. It's ridiculous. So, sorry, that frustrated me. It gets frustrating. Alex Wolf, I will hand out a happy 5-minute ban because you want one. There you go. Daniel, no, you're fine, man. I mean, if you say your own opinions, I might think some of your guys' opinions are just like completely off base, right? But like, I don't have as much of a problem with that as people that put words in my mouth and act like I said that 1-40 on the road is fine. That's just dandy, right? That's the stuff that frustrates me. Stuff like that. That's the stuff that I don't put up with. Like, I'm tired of putting up with that. But like, if you have opinions, I can think they're ridiculous, and I'll say why I disagree with your opinion. We just did with your dono, but you're entitled to your opinion. Just don't be toxic about it, or don't be trolly about it. A lot of people will state opinions just to troll. Dame's gone, Dame's leaving, like that type of stuff is ridiculous and annoying. But if you think, it's Olshey is a bad GM, fine. If you think we need to retool, fine. Completely okay with that. So no, you're fine, Daniel, and you're supportive as well. So you're not in here trying to troll me. You just got a lot of people that come in here and try and troll us, and it's annoying. So mods, you got free reign. Have fun with it. Anyway. Sorry, Eric.
That's okay. No,
it annoys me.
0012 with a $5 dono. Why is everyone just blaming CJ? It's CJ, Dame, and Rocco. All three of them need to be way better. And yeah. We're not winning many games in the past with Dame, CJ, and Rocco, three of our starters just playing like absolute crap,
Yeah. For what Dame and CJ are doing, you can't have two people that are doing that, and Dame and CJ defensively are both having the same issues, right? Mm-hmm. The thing is if you since you can't get away with two of those guys doing that, if that continues, if Chauncey does everything he can to fix that, which I don't think he is, so that's why we're talking about the coach to start this stream, but if he does everything he can to fix that and it doesn't get fixed, then you have to trade one of the guys that does that, and obviously that's going to be CJ. So I think that's why it's CJ oriented. I feel like a lot of the stuff that CJ gets said about him is off base and untrue. Like, people go overboard with some things about CJ, but like his defense was horrible tonight, and so was Dame's. So we'll talk about both of them. It just becomes a situation where
they're both equally as bad tonight.
Yeah, so. It just becomes a situation where if they're both still bad, it means CJ got to go. And I'm not there yet, right? Like, a lot of people are there. I'm not there yet. But if it's like this tonight and Chauncey does everything he can and it still doesn't work out, shoot, Chauncey's probably going to Olshey or whoever the GM is and saying, I've tried everything. CJ got to go. So we'll wait and see on that.
Thanks for the dono.
Yeah, I appreciate the $5 dono. Eric, do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know. I'm of the opinion that they're both could be fine in the right system. I just don't think this lazy conservative system is that right system. We know that's not the right system. We've seen it for a long time now, and it's not happening that way. So
I thought we played pretty aggressive early. I feel like Chauncey gave up.
Yeah,
the last 6
but this is my problem on the road. It's like we're not doing that crap at home. We're like playing a good, like, people are still missing rotations. People are still giving up open threes, but at least it's like within the scheme of, like, someone misses a help assignment, or someone overhelps, or someone like rotates to the wrong guy and two guys go to one guy. That's like, I'll never blame someone for those type of thing. Like, a coach isn't responsible for that if it happens a few times a game, right? But if it looks like your scheme is to be, like, chaotic and just, like, they don't even have to set a screen on your guards and you're automatically switching to a mismatch, and then you have, like, Dame and CJ trying to guard or box out Gobert on three-pointers, and you have Nurkic and Zeller out there guarding guards the whole game. Like, to me, that's just poor scheme. And I continue to say this time and time again. There are not many players, even the Ben Simmons of the world, don't stop people from driving, like good ball handlers from driving or getting around them in a one-on-one situation. They're good because they can limit it or stick with it or get through screens or are good help defenders or whatever. But, like, one-on-one defense is not something that, like, teams have to have, in my opinion. They have to be able to get through screens, and they have to be in sync as a unit. And it seems to me like it started with the Phoenix game, where we started, like, going under screens against Chris Paul and switching and stuff like that for no reason. And ever since then on the road, it just seems like every good team we play, which is most of our road games, we do that crap where we're like killing ourselves by having a terrible game plan. And it has nothing to do with the skill level of the defenders. It's that we're not even like teams don't even have to set a screen. Do you realize how bad that is? It's not that they can't get through a screen. It's that they don't even have to set a screen on them. And we're switching, right? Like teams just have to fake that they're setting a screen, and we're like, oh, can't get through it. I have to switch because Rudy Gobert's 10 feet from me. He's coming to set a pick. I better move out of the way so I'm not in this pick or whatever. Like it's just ridiculous. And for a coach to watch this happen, who screams about accountability and toughness and scrappiness, it's just not happening right now. And they're not taking the mindset of their coach. They're going the extreme opposite way. And somehow that's got to change because I've seen it happen at times this year. I've seen Dame get through screens perfectly. I've seen CJ get through screens perfectly, both on ball and off ball, with no problems at all. And it's not like Dame was carrying the load on offense today. He only took 12 shots and barely did much. So it's not like he has that excuse of, oh, I had to score like 40 points, so I was tired on the defensive end, you know? So, and if that's the case, then why not use Nurk more? Why not use our players that are efficient more?
Norman
Powell, get him more shots when he's playing. Like, if this is the case where they're too tired to play defense, I don't understand. That was the whole point of having an offense with ball movement and getting better shots, is so that those guys do not have to take the toll offensively to where they can't play defense. So either that has to change so they have more energy on defense, or the scheme's got to be better, or Chauncey's needed to hold the people accountable for not running the scheme. But either way, these are all fixable problems, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating how different this team is on like at home. That's the blueprint. If they played like they did at home consistently, we'd be talking about, is this team a contender? They're looking like a contender, right? Like nobody would be talking about the roster right now if this team just took the home half of their schedule and played like that consistently. And obviously there's home court advantage, but there's no reason that that outside factors should influence the hardwood that much. There's no reason to, like, if they came out with the same mindset and the same will and the same drive as they do at home on the road, we'd be talking about this team being like 15-6 right now after the hardest part of their schedule, and talking about how many easy games they have left and can they get the 1 seed and all that type of stuff right now. Mm-hmm. If they just figured out how to translate more from home to the road. Like, that's the thing, that's why it's not any definitive or conclusive statements. And I'm not saying the roster I'm not saying the roster is perfect. Yeah. I would trade CJ the right deal. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that the roster is as good as it can be and there's nothing they can do and that they shouldn't look to do a trade or any of this type of stuff. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying we see how good this team can be at home. We need to figure out what we can do to have that team show up on the road. That's the number one thing we can control right now. Not many other teams are looking to trade. Normally teams wait until midway through the season to around the trade deadline to make moves. So around then we'll talk more trades and roster and what we can do, and we'll also have a better feeling for if this team is going to figure things out on the road or not. Right now, we're before that. We are the chapter before that, which is we got to figure out how to be the best team possible with what we have, with our coach, and on the road. Because at home, I have no complaints right now. It's all on the road. So we've got to figure that out. Going forward, I wouldn't be surprised if we're 25-15 about a month and a half right now because we have so many home games. Right? That's not too bad. And we've gone through the hardest stretch of our schedule so far. Like, this was the hardest stretch of our schedule. We have a lot of easy games left. It starts tomorrow with Detroit at home. Right? We're probably not talking about a loss tomorrow. If we're talking about a loss, then maybe it's a different conversation. Maybe we're panicking. But that's just kind of where I sit right now.
And then you have people like Mac Mull saying you've seen it at times. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And then
a broken clock isn't right 50% of the time, so that's a horrible analogy. Sorry.
Yep.
There you
go. And it's not 21 games. It's 6 effing years. Time to blow the core up. It's been 21 games with this coaching staff and a different system. And then Shelvin's like, LOL, if you take all the games, they look good. We would be great, right?
I mean, we're not just taking the top 50% of games. We're taking home and road. Okay. It's not like a natural splitting point for cherry picking.
there is a huge difference between saying someone is incapable of doing something and saying someone is, I've seen it with my own eyes happen at times. So I say, I think Dame and CJ can get through picks better. I've seen it on the court. And then I look in chat and it's like, what are you talking about? It's been 6 years. They can't do anything right. They will never, ever be good at defense because they're small and they suck and they'll never get better, right?
Yeah.
I've literally seen them do it right. They can do it correctly. I've physically seen it multiple times a game with my own eyes. It's possible. They just have to be consistent with it and learn that it's not acceptable the times where they don't. And
it just has to be held to a standard. Now, if you do, I'm never gonna admit that this roster is a problem. You know, it's like whatever. People are saying, "What the f is that voice?" I don't know what that voice is, guys, but I mean that's kind of the voice I hear when I read some of the stuff. I mean, they just have to. It has to be held to a standard. Right? And if you do everything you can to hold them to that standard and they can't meet that standard, then we can have that conversation. Then we can go there. But people are saying, oh, it's been the same way the last 6 years. Well, the standard was not held high enough for them the last 6 years. So I'm not going to sit here and say and talk about we need to hold them to a higher standard and listen to arguments about how the last 6 matters says we can't. It doesn't make sense because like we haven't held them to a high enough standard their whole time here. So let's hold them to a high enough standard. That's where Chauncey comes in. He needs to hold them more accountable. And then we can see if they're able to meet that standard because they've shown that they're capable in stretches in half the games this year. And then on the road, we don't hold them to a high enough standard. So figure that out on the road. Hold them to a high enough standard on the road.
Because we played easy teams. We had gimme victories at home.
I mean, we blew out the Clippers, we blew out the Grizzlies, we blew out the Suns. Like, I mean, I don't know. We've I don't know, man. That's the thing is I don't know. It's just let me thank the donos, or do you want to make a point?
Let's let me finish something. So Shaggy Squid says, Eric, it isn't about them not being able to do it correctly. It's about not believing they can do it consistently in the playoff series. Yeah, no crap. This channel was founded on that very premise that we didn't think the stuff happening the past few years could translate to the playoffs. Why would we be sitting here saying that we feel differently if we didn't feel differently? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, Shaggy Squid, you've been watching this channel pretty much from the beginning. You know that we would tell you if we felt like this wasn't going to translate in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But what I'm seeing is times where it looks like this team could consistently be good, and it's not just going to happen where they're perfect. Like I said, the first half they play pretty good tonight, at least defensively. Second half, the rails come off and they give up a bunch of open shots. Like, if they can just figure out a way to do it consistently, think about how good this team would be if they did find a consistency, because the style they played at times does translate to the playoffs on offense if they're moving the ball, getting good shots, getting open threes. And then eventually, when you'd think that Dame would be his normal self again and just be able to take over a game when people aren't hitting shots or whatever. So, like, you combine those two things, and we're actually pretty good. Cora.
You're getting her worked up, man.
We're getting we're in a situation where we're still a top 5 offensive team, despite like Dame doing like very little this year, and us still trying to learn how to move, without the ball and making the right cuts at the right time and passing in the right situations and all this stuff. And like the defense is not great, but it's still better than last year. There's still signs of it being good, and when it is good, it is playoff translatable, in my opinion. So yes, there is a chance that you are right, and they will never ever be consistent enough of it. But like, I don't understand just what, like Tori was saying, making blanketed statements at this point, like to where we know for sure it can't happen. Because if it does happen consistently, this is a dang good team. And even if you want to argue that the roster is imbalanced or they need more length at the wings or whatever, this team would be really good, even with those roster problems, if you want to call it that, if they play consistently the way they're supposed to. And I still believe that. That's why I'm still not giving up on this team. But yeah, I mean, I understand you're saying that. It's just, how do you know it can't be consistent? It's like people are just, like, they want to be critical because, obviously people hate Olshey, and obviously people don't like CJ and stuff like that. So you want to believe that what you're saying is true, but it is possible that CJ can change, and it is possible that this team could be consistent.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen progress this year. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think there has been zero progress, right? It's just getting that progress to translate to the road. At home, if you just looked at how we've played at home, we've made a lot of progress. If you look at the road, we've made none. So that's the thing, is where it comes back to, it's not that, CJ and Dame aren't having any pride at all. It's just on the road. It's half of the games. So that's the thing, is it's not just a flash when it's 50% of the games. It's not just a flash when it's at home, because otherwise we would have looked a lot better at home the last few years. So, I mean, people wanted faster progress. I get it. I don't know, man. I've explained where I sit at with this. Chauncey needs to set the tone. He's the leader of the team. Dame and CJ have to have more pride and hold themselves accountable as well. So it's a two-way street. But that's the thing, is when Dame and CJ are used to not having any accountability from their coach on defense whatsoever, they get conditioned to not hold themselves accountable. That's what happens when you have a coach that doesn't preach accountability and doesn't hold players accountable for what they do on the defensive end. And it's like, you look at New York, they're a horrible defense. They bring in Tom Thibodeau. They're a top 5 defense last year because they bring in a coach that holds players accountable on that end. And all of a sudden, all these terrible defenders improve, right? So, like, the coach matters. And people will sit here and try and argue that the coach doesn't matter. Like, I'm not blaming Chauncey for Dame and CJ not playing with pride defensively, Shervin, so get out of here with that crap.
Of course Shervin would say that.
That's just the that's just the type of stuff. Annoying. I mean, that's just the type of stuff I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's Chauncey's fault for them not playing with pride defensively, but Chauncey has to do his part to set the tone. And I want it to be a situation where Dame and CJ have no excuses, right? Where they're being held accountable by the coach. They are being played in the right defensive system. And their minutes are being cut if they're not playing defense, because at that point they have no excuse. So I want to see what it looks like when those guys have no excuse. And if they don't answer, then there's no doubt about it that you have to trade one of them. Right? So that's why I'm sitting here right now, 20 games in. It's not like the trade deadline's tomorrow. That's why I'm sitting 20 games in. Let's see them have no excuses. Let's see the coach hold them accountable, hold them to a higher standard, because we haven't seen that. So that's what I want to see. And I'm not giving up fully, because I've seen in half the games this year this backcourt play solid to good defense even. So let's thank all the donos. We're really behind here. Shout out to Dro, $5 dono. He says, lack of acknowledgement Nurkic receives makes me turn the game off. He was abusing Rudy. Wasn't Billups saying Nurkic was going to get more involved? And I agree with that. Nurkic has been our best offensive player during this 3-game road trip, and he doesn't take a shot in the third quarter, doesn't get a play ran for him in the third quarter. I don't agree with that, and I also don't agree when Norm's in. We don't run enough plays for him. Norm's not a guy who can, like, hijack the offense. So that's kind of the issue I've had, is, like, this offense under Stotts, and on the road under Billups. At home, it's not quite this bad. On the road under Billups, it falls victim to players that are good with the ball in their hands. So CJ and Dame are really good with the ball in their hands. The ball finds their way to them, and then they go one-on-one, make a play, or call for a pick and roll, make a play, that sort of thing, right? Instead of us running sets for players who are not as capable off the dribble, which we need to do more of. That's for Nurk, that's for Norm. Those are the two main guys. And even Ant, when Ant has it going, I think needs more shots. Ant got his shots up tonight, but... it's like CJ 38 minutes has 17 shots. Ant has 15 shots in 29 minutes, even though CJ doesn't have it going and Ant does. So I would have liked to have seen us run more plays for Ant. I want to see us run more structured offense for players who are not as good creating off the dribble as Dame and CJ are. And that will save Dame and CJ's energy for the defensive end. It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Yep.
So appreciate the $5 dono, Joe.
I agree. Nurkic needs to be more involved, especially utilizing his playmaking, something we haven't done, and that's another reason why I'm slightly optimistic if we can find a way to utilize our bigs passing, all three of them. They're all good passers, so you do make some plays to get them involved passing the ball as well, where they have multiple options to pass to, and not just dribble handoffs, and see what happens.
Yep. Shout out to Mills Welsh, $5 dono. He says Dame got to be more aggressive at the end of the game. When it was in that 16 to 13 point game, he should look to score more if he's not going to guard anyone. Normally Dame is. He got banged up a little bit this game, and I have to wonder if that maybe affected things with him not being as aggressive. At that point, I said, you know what, if Dame's not even going to look to really do anything offensively, you might as well sub Dennis Smith Jr. and get Dame some rest and sub in the better defensive player, because Dame wasn't looking to really do much at all during that fourth quarter. But that injury might have something to play with that, because he went down hard, was clutching his hip area. Normally he's aggressive there, so I'm not going to look too much into it, especially after he went down hard and looked limp a little bit. So, appreciate the $5 dono as well. Shout out Zach Landia, $2 dono. He says, we need to rebuild around CJ, Ant, Nas, and Benjamin Simmons. Zach is the ultimate troll. Zach, there, I read your dono. I'm going to read them all. Shout out to JM1231, $5 dono. He says, sorry for the Duke chat the other night. Tori had to mess with you a bit and rep my alma mater, LOL. Hope all is well with you both. Bro, don't apologize for that. I get it. And see, that's fun. That's fun trolling. I would rather have that than being trolled in other ways where people make up things I said just so they can argue them. So appreciate you, JM, man. You're super supportive. And congrats on Duke and being the number one team. I mean, Gonzaga's sitting here at number 3, so we're chilling. That could be a good Final Four matchup. And it was fun to watch Chet and Banchero go against each other. That was a good game.
Yep. While we're around this, there was a comment near there that I just want to mention right here, because this is a good something that you mentioned during the game. So got Uznae saying, Chauncey Billups' own words, we give up size every night. Okay, so how do you explain tonight? That's our guy who always blames Powell, right? He always blames Powell, right?
Yep.
Can't blame that tonight. We started Tony Snell, and then we started Nas in the second half, bro. Come on.
And it was just as bad. So maybe that should tell you that it's maybe not the 3-guard lineup. We gave up 76. That was our worst second half of defense the entire season, Eric. When we weren't running the 3-guard lineup. I don't know. That's funny. Anyway.
you called it too. You said there.
I said there's people that are going to blame the 3-guard lineup tonight, even though we didn't play a 3-guard lineup. God dang, man.
I mean, we did for a few minutes, but yeah.
I mean, that wasn't the reason. That wasn't the reason. I mean, I don't know. Shout out Tyson McBrooks, $2 dono. He says, it's Tyrus. Did I say Tyus?
You said Tyson.
Did I say Tyson? I don't know. I'm trying to talk fast. Shout out Tyrus McBrooks, $2 dono. He says, it's unacceptable that we are under 500. I'm so done. And Christmas music plays for Tyrus.
This is actually Super Mario World.
Is it Super Mario World?
Yeah. My 5-year-old just has to push buttons on the ornaments to make noise right now. Really?
Well, maybe it will. I mean, we need a festive feeling right now. We need some good vibes. I'll take the rest of these. We should read off troll comments to this music, honestly. Shout out.
But no, I mean, yes, it sucks that we do not have a good record right now, but going into the season, we had the toughest schedule over the first 20 games out of any team. We had, there's a stretch coming up at the end of the year where we play some teams that will be tanking at this time. Like, we seriously have 8 games in a row against OKC twice, Spurs twice, Houston twice, all in an 8-game stretch. And I don't know. It's we've played one of those teams, all the worst teams in the league. We played at Houston 1 game. Teams like the Lakers have already played 8 games against teams like the Pistons and the Rockets and the Thunder and Spurs. So they've played all those teams twice already. I don't know. But yes, it sucks we're under 500, but it's still possible Look at it this way: we're basically 500 against 500 teams. So, actually, we've lost to the Kings twice, right?
Yeah.
So we're actually 1-2 against under 500 teams. So we're 500 against 500 teams. But that's, I mean, I'm not trying to like trivialize it or anything, but like in the past, it's been like, oh, we only beat the good teams, and we're like,
or we only beat the bad teams. We only
beat the bad teams, and we're like, we have like a 30% winning percentage against 500 teams. Well, we're splitting our games against the 500 teams, so once we start beating the bad teams, that'll pad our record. But yeah,
well, and figure things out on the freaking road, like
yeah,
see what you got. That's yeah. I mean, we've had a very tough schedule. Sure, teams have been missing guys, but we're playing teams that have been playing well without guys. Like the Bulls have played well without Vucevic. But, they're missing Vucevic. It's not a good win. I've had people make that argument. It's like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Well, I mean...
I guess Denver's below 500 now. Or no, they won today, so they're back to 500.
Yeah, so...
I mean, it's like 17 out of our 20 games are above 500, or at 500 teams.
I mean, the time we lost to Denver, they had Jokic. The time... I mean, so, yeah, we lost to Denver at Denver. We lost to Utah at Utah. We've lost to the Clippers twice in L.A. We've lost to the Suns in Phoenix. The Kings loss on the road is bad. No denying that. We've lost to the Warriors at Golden State. Trying to think of our other three off the top of my head. We lost to Cleveland when they were rolling. That was probably a bad loss, even though they were playing pretty good. The Philadelphia loss, it was a bad loss, even though they were playing well without Embiid and Simmons and stuff. That was a bad loss. The Hornets, and we lost at the Hornets. I mean, so yeah, a few teams we should have beaten probably, definitely. But like, I don't know. That's almost all the best teams in the league we're losing to on the road. You know, it's not like we're losing to like Detroit at Detroit or something.
Yeah, we might have the easiest schedule left in the NBA, and a lot of teams are right around us. There's a lot of teams hovering right around 500. There's a lot of parity this year in terms of standings. So, but there's like a clear-cut 5 bottom feeder teams, and the only bottom feeder team we've played is Houston, right? We still have 4 games against OKC left. We still have 4 games against the Pelicans left. We still have 2 games against the Pistons, 2 games against the Magic. We still have all 4 games left against the Spurs. You know what I mean? So we have maybe the easiest schedule left in the entire NBA. So use those games to figure out how to play better on the road. You know what I mean? Figure out things on the road. Take care of business against sub 500 teams, which we did last year, which we've always done. And you're looking at a team that's hovering around 50 wins at the end of the season. Right? I said this team, if they want to be on a 50-win pace, should be 12-10 after this month. Well, tomorrow you got Detroit, take care of business, 11-11. Okay. Right? Like, that's
one game off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not horrible. It is not a horrible position that this team is in, despite how some people may have you think. And yeah. So anyway, let's link the rest of the donos. Neil Olshey, Australian Neil Olshey with the $3 Australian dono. He says, "Think I will sign Tony Snell to the max. Thoughts? Well, thankfully." It's against the CBA to sign Tony Snell to the max offseason for us. So, thank goodness.
I'm sorry. I got to call out Neil Olshey, Australian Neil Olshey. Bruh, if you're going to troll and be like Neil Olshey, at least know the CBA. I mean, we can't. So, I mean, thanks for the dono. But, come on.
Up your game, Australia.
If you're going to troll, at least make it like a possible troll.
Dang, shots, call it out. I enjoyed it, Australian Neil, but there's some Neil Olshey criticism. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's fake or real, Eric. That's all people have been waiting for. Some Neil Olshey criticism. There you go. Appreciate the $3 Australian dono, Neil. Scott Bossy, $7 Canadian dono. He says, "What do you think of switching CJ's and Norm's for sub time? Running Norm with the second unit would create a higher energy lineup and lower CJ's minutes. The problem is that might eat into Simon's minutes if you play Norm at the 2. But I would like to see Norm more with the bench. The thing is like if you change one thing somewhere, then it changes something somewhere else. and that's the thing that people forget. But I mean, I would look at playing CJ less. He hasn't really. I don't think he's been better than Norm this year. So I would like to see them have equal minutes, and CJ normally plays more. And I would like to see what Norm would look like with the bench, maybe run some sets to get him to some spots he likes and trying to really utilize his scoring ability and get him more shots playing with the bench lineup. I would definitely be down for that. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, it hasn't made sense to me that Norm comes out around the same time CJ comes out and then doesn't come back at the beginning of the second quarter or the fourth quarter. He comes back around the time Dame comes back or whatever, later in the quarter. I'm always a fan of rotations being dictated on what happens in the game, not predetermined before a game. And, I wish we'd do a little better job. I mean, I feel like, we take out Nurk too early sometimes. Both the first and the third quarters tonight, I felt like that. I feel like, it's all kinds of rotations, but CJ shouldn't be playing 37 minutes a game, right, with the way he's playing right now. He just should, yeah. So give those minutes to Norm and Ant, just split them between them. Obviously, Norm wasn't available tonight, so that's a little different. But I'm even cool with giving someone else a chance, or let Ant run point guard, or see, I don't know, just do something different. But obviously, something needs to change. But the thing is with
on the road, maybe make a lineup change to spark something. Because I don't know, I don't even want to mess with anything at home.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Well,
so
the thing is, there's been times where we've used CJ off the ball in the second unit, and it's worked out good. And then there's times where, the last couple of games, where we just, the beginning of quarters, the second and fourth quarter, we just go on major stretches of not scoring, and then we have to rush Dame back in at the 10-minute mark instead of the 8-minute mark or whatever, and it's frustrating. But I don't know, run more plays. I've always said that the second office either needs to get out and run in transition and push the pace, or have a more structured offense, and I'm just not seeing enough of that.
Yep, I agree. Shout out Mills Woj, $10 dono. He says, LOL, it's crazy to me how people demanding a change right now when we don't even know who our GM will be at the deadline. Nobody's getting traded anytime soon. That's another point. The whole situation isn't over yet. So that's another one of the reasons why I'm waiting to talk trades. I said at least 20 games, at least being the key phrase there. But then, we're not going to do a trade anytime soon. And Neil Olshey, we don't know if he's still going to be GM. So there's still, over 2 months until the trade deadline. We got to figure out things with what we got. And we got to talk about this team, what this team is doing on the court. And a lot of people love to come in here and just argue roster every single stream. We're 21 games in, and I don't know. Do people have saved drafts in a Word spreadsheet that they just copy and paste? Because it kind of seems like that, because a lot of the talk after games isn't even about the actual game. It's just about the roster sucks. Talk about what CJ did wrong in this game. I would love a lot more of that instead of just CJ's awful, trade him. Because that ain't happening soon, and that's not based on the game. Appreciate Mills Wells for the $10 dono. Shout out Dame's Goat, $2 dono. He says, at least Nurk Fever is making a return. Nurkic has arguably been better than Nurk Fever Nurkic. The thing is, Nurk Fever Nurkic had more playmaking, but this Nurkic is a much better finisher than Nurk Fever. Everybody that loved Nurkic when he came here from Denver for that 20-game stretch, Nurkic was only shooting about 52% from two. This season, he's shooting 61% from two. He's finishing much better, and it's crazy because people for the longest time argued that he was a terrible finisher this season, even when he was finishing well. And then finally it's at the point where I think either they have realized through their bias or realized through their hatred of Nurkic and through the narratives that they bought, or, it's I don't know, it's just a situation where they can't even argue that anymore because he's been finishing really, really well. And then defensively, he's been very, very solid as well this year. I think you can make an argument that this is Nurkic's best season. The thing is just he doesn't have enough usage in terms of being a passer and a scorer, running sets for him, letting him post up, that sort of thing. So, that's not under his control. He's not Dame or CJ who will go out and hunt his own shot or has that capability. That's why we got to utilize him more. It just all comes back to that with Nurkic for me.
Yep. Nurk's, I wish we had treat him like he was our second best player sometimes. Like, I don't think we need those kind of like labels or anything, but like we still give other players way more opportunities. And I mean, especially when Dame's not like looking like himself. Like, why not just see if Nurk can handle running the offense more and running plays through him? Because it doesn't take much energy to catch the ball, have a cutter or off-ball screen or something, and then him passing that to him. It doesn't take a lot of energy. It's not going to like wear him out or anything doing that. It's not like he's breaking people off the dribble and driving to the hoop and taking contact and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm all for just giving him more responsibility. But.
Yep, I agree. Aeromancer says until he isn't invisible every other game, he has a way to go to have his best season. He hasn't been invisible every other game. Like, if he goes 5 for 7 from the field for 10 points and plays good defense, that's not being invisible, and that's not his fault, and that's a really good game. Like, I'd rather have him go 5 for 7 for 10 points than 7 for 15 or 7 for 16, because, like, we have guys that can score. So we want Nurkic to be scoring efficiently. I want him to be scoring both more and at the efficiency he has been. I would just take the efficiency over him shooting a less efficient clip and more shots. So I don't agree with that argument. Shout out Tyrus McBrooks, and then we're caught up on donos. Appreciate you guys. Tyrus McBrooks, $2 dono. He says, that's my problem. We suck against good teams. We're 500 against 500 or above teams. That doesn't suck. That's actually a pretty solid record. Like, it's yeah, I mean, the only teams that are usually much better than that are like the cream of the crop contenders. So I don't agree with that, but I appreciate the $2 dono, Tyrus. All right, let's just look at the team stats, and then let's look at the player cards. Here are the team stats from tonight. Once again, Eric, teams on the road shoot right around 52/53% from the field. And that continued tonight, and then 41% from 3. Not good. They also get to the line more. I'm tired of looking at shooting splits like that for the other team on the right side of this column every stream.
Yep. And then when you look at the assist, 19, just not good enough compared to watching their beautiful offense where they get constantly passed to an open shot. And, we get jealous sometimes.
Yeah, their offense should be how we run our offense, in my opinion. Because they got guys that can make plays. They got Mike Conley. They got Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell, the way he gets his points, he'll run some pick and roll, so it's not like they don't do stuff that Dame or CJ would be good at. They just move the ball. Great. Despite not having like a Draymond Green or a guy like that, right? They'll have Royce O'Neal and Bojan Bogdanovic in the front court, and they'll move the ball.
Gobert and Bogdanovic aren't great passers, but they still are part of a offense that moves the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we could definitely do that with Covington and Nurkic, who's a better passer than both of them, in my opinion. So that's what we need to try and do, is what Utah has done with their offense. Steals, 1 steal for us, 3 blocks. I mean, we did not force turnovers. They only had 5 turnovers this game, Eric. That hurts, because when we're kind of struggling offensively and they're hot, like you want to try and take away their shot opportunities and create easy shots ourselves by forcing some turnovers, especially if you're down, because that's the quickest way to come back. That's why I don't like going to a switch-only defense with 6 minutes left when we need to try and make a comeback. At that point, you actually ratchet it up and trap and try and force some turnovers and some quick run-outs, not go conservative. Doesn't make sense. And
that's why I keep saying it's not aggressive enough. It needs to be more aggressive. As Michael Keefe points out, 5 turnovers because they're a movement offense. I thought if you pass the ball as well as Utah does, that it leads to more turnovers.
That's an argument we got all year last year. Yeah, if we try and move the ball more, we're just going to turn over the ball more, because if you pass more, you turn over the ball more. Well, look at Utah tonight. 31 assists, 5 turnovers. Fast break points, we didn't get out on the break because we couldn't turn them over. They didn't get out on the break either. Points in the paint are pretty even. Nothing else really stands out here. Largest lead, 24. They won by 22. Disgusting.
Yep.
Let's go to the player cards. Let me update this. The first guy we're going to talk about is either going to be Simons or Nurk. Let's see which one Krish did for us. We got... Let's see here. Wait for it to update. Anthony, save us, Simons. Yeah, I was screaming, save us. Save us, Ant. Normally it's save us, Dame. Sometimes it's save us, CJ. Today it was save us, Ant. I mean, he broke out of his slump during this road trip. That's a good sign, Eric. He was fantastic tonight shooting the ball. Mm-hmm. He was good last game in the second half shooting the ball. This is 3 halves in a row where he's been electric as a scorer, kind of getting back to what he was doing at the start of this season before he went on a little bit of a slump.
Yeah, it's good to see him. I wasn't ever worried about him getting out of a slump, at least from 3, but it's nice to see that he's back at it again. The only bad thing I'd say is defensively, I thought he's been really good, but lately it's just like one play. It's like the fouling Mitchell on a 3-point shot and getting 3 free throws. Just avoid the big mistakes like that where it costs you 3 free throws, things like that. And he'd be just in a really good position to be one of our best players right now.
Yep, I agree with that. We're going to go through these pretty quick. Yeah. Just look at stats. We've already talked about a large number of players. I don't want to slide that over, so let me click that. All right. Yusuf Gogurt Nurkic. I don't know. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 9 for 13. We've already talked at length about him. Anything else you wanted to say about Yusuf Gogurt? Oh, I get the reference. I'm slow.
Gobert, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was eating some Gogurt tonight. But,
Yum.
Pretty good game from Nurk. Once again, casuals, first half, we'll see those open dunks by Gobert and be like, oh, Nurk can't play defense. He sucks. But those were not his fault. One of them was his fault. He didn't get back fast enough. But for the most part, he's trying to cover for all the other lack of defense around him. And, another solid game from Nurk, who's quietly been really, really good.
Yep, and Play-by-Play has a great comment in chat that I'll read off. He's talking to Arrowmancer. He says, instead of looking at Nurkic's points every game, you should also look at how many shots he took and how good the team was with him on the court or how his defense was. You can play well without scoring many points per game. I paraphrased a little bit of that, but I mean that's the thing is too many people just look at like how many points did he score and then did he shoot well and that's it. There's so much more to being a center on this team than did you finish and did you score. Mm-hmm. There's much more to the game than that. It's much more nuanced if you're going to evaluate Yusuf Nurkic. So that's a great comment. Play-by-play. I agree with that. Let's move on and talk about CJ McCollum. 19 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 38 minutes. He sucked defensively today, and offensively he has been inefficient from 2. He's 3 for 12. Or no, he's 5 for 12 from 2. I guess it's not horrible. I guess this isn't I don't know. It's not a good efficiency game. From 3, he's fine. Got to the line for 3 free throws and made all 3 of them. 5 for 12 inside the arc isn't... It's not horrible, but it's not good. I look at this, Eric, and I say, what happened to the CJ that half his shot attempts were 3s? Because he's a more efficient 3-point shooter than 2-point shooter and doesn't get to the line when he attacks the rim. So I would rather have him be shooting 3s right now than have, I don't know, more than 2/3 of his shot were 2s tonight.
Well, we ran that one play towards the beginning of the second half where he came off a curl screen and got like a wide open free throw range jumper and made it. And then, but like, for the most part, we're still not running any kind of plays for him to get catch and shoot or off ball easy shots. It's like all him having to break down a defense and score that way. I just don't get, once again, why we're not trying to get these guys more efficient shots.
Yep. Agreed. Need him running off screens for catch and shoot 3s. And then maybe if he doesn't have that, then he can just straight line drive and attack, and it's not iso ball. And then if he sucks in defender kicks, that's the game he needs to play. And that's the game. I mean, we're not running sets for him to get into that sort of situation, or we're not running enough. So that's where, blame CJ for isoing and whatnot. But I mean, we could be doing things to maybe help him get better shots within the flow of the offense, as well as get situations where he can create for himself or others where it doesn't come against a set defense. Let's move on and talk about Damian Lillard. Where are you at, Lillard? That's what I was saying down the stretch there. Thoughts on Dame that we haven't already stated, Eric?
not much. Just has to find a way to either be in the game when you're playing or tell the coach that it's just not your night or whatever. And yeah.
Yep, I agree. Cody Godzeller had some nice plays offensively. I don't know. This looked like the Cody Zeller I thought we were going to get, at least offensively. Still haven't seen much of his playmaking, and he still struggled defensively. He does not recover fast enough after hedging or trapping, which is weird because normally he's been looked at as good in those situations.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of issue he's having right now.
Yeah, he had a play tonight where he had a beautiful trap, and it was actually hard and aggressive, and I thought it was like perfect, and the ball got swung around, and by the time his man got the ball back, he was still standing where the trap was 5 feet past the 3-point line. And stuff like that is just confusing to me. Luckily it came out shortly after that, but he's just sticking too long on those, and but it is getting slightly better. Just, I don't know, moving forward, with the exception of nights like tonight where you're playing against two really tall centers, I don't really think he's going to have much of an impact or as many minutes as he would need to impact a game. Yeah. So, yeah.
And here's the thing, like, you have to stay until the guard is back. If you're going to hedge pick and rolls, you have to maintain that hold until the guard's in a position, or whoever's getting through the screen is in position to be in front of the ball handler. And Nurkic does a good job of timing that. Sometimes Nurkic has to stay a little bit longer, and then the guard finally gets through, and then Nurkic recovers, and at that point it's too late. But normally that's not Nurkic's fault. That's the guard's fault for not getting through quick enough. The problem is like Cody will stay there even after the guard's back, even after the guard is recovered. And he'll come up too far if the guard gets through immediately, because there's a play where Tony Snell got through a screen immediately and was on the ball, and then Zeller just left Gobert to come up and hedge, but wasn't coming to trap, didn't really get into the ball at all, and then they threw it over the top to Gobert, and he got fouled, I think. So it's nuanced. It's a nuanced conversation.
In those situations that you mentioned, either he's got to hard trap that, and him and Snell have to both just like attack the ball handler and pressure him to where he has nowhere to go, or you have to just get out of there and get back to your guy
because your help isn't needed.
Yeah, and so he's just, I don't know if it's, I mean, like I said, this is something that can change. Like, you can't just, it's not like has to be there, but like maybe it's just like a situation where, it's like a clock in your head for a quarterback. Like, you can't hold the ball more than 3 seconds or whatever. So like maybe they should tell him count to 1002 or something. And if you're still there, you're there too long. Like, get out of there, So there's ways to fix that. It's just, he's just got to do a better job of either coming out all the way like Nurk does, or just not coming out as far because he doesn't need to.
Yep. Let's move on and talk about Tony Snell Razor Snell. What? I paused because I'm hoping you'll explain it, and then you sip your drink, and I'm just like, yeah, you don't get it either, do you? 8 points.
There's a movie called Hellraiser, I guess. It's just a play off of that.
I don't watch movies like that. So, see, that's where you needed to jump in and help me out, because I know you watch movies more than I do, or at least used to. So, 3 for 7. Hey, he hit some threes, and he made it 2. Great game for Tony Snell in his start. Anything else?
He was fine. He was all right. He wasn't the reason we lost, I guess, but yeah.
Nasir, 27 minutes, 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 for 10 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3. Tough game for Nas. He's been playing well. Not tonight.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when we get to Brant's breakdown, he's going to he's going to take my wrath tonight. I don't mean to pick on Nas, but got a couple plays where Nas absolutely cost us some possessions, and yeah, gotta point him out. Why
is he the guy you point out, not CJ or Dame, man?
Well, because well, for one, most of Dame and CJ's were in the second half, and we were on that stream, and it was really hard to take pictures and post them and do all that stuff in the second half. But I just want to show people when, because I mentioned this several times on Twitter, people ask me, like, what do you mean when you say Nas is still making a lot of off-ball mistakes? And so I want to show you exactly what I mean.
Yeah, see, that's a legitimate reason. For me. I was just like, because we argued.
You guys know I love
argued
Nas.
the starter between Nas and Snell, and I'm like, after I streamed, I was like, dang, if Nas like has a really bad defensive possession, watch Eric's gonna break it down.
No, it wasn't like that at all. You'll see why. You'll see why when I show you.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, I don't disagree with any of it. It's funny because I had that thought, and then he came out and struggled defensively and struggled offensively. I'm like, Nas, I support you like crazy, and now I look crazy. So, anyway, still got a little Nas down there in the bottom right corner. Scary Larry Nance Jr. wasn't very scary tonight. 1.3 rebounds, only 2 shots from the field. No assists. I didn't notice him on the court, really. He wasn't really utilized at all when he was on the court. And only played 17 freaking minutes. Snell plays 16. Like, they won't play Rocco at the freaking... They won't play Rocco at the 3 at all, which is ridiculous in my opinion. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Nance?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when... I mean, he's the kind of guy who... I mean, we talked about this, needs to play in better lineups, and what's happened, the times he's excelled this year is like he was in the closing lineups, or like he was in there in impactful situations, stuff like that, mostly with Dame and the starters and stuff. So I feel like... he's just running around with the second unit, and they're not utilizing him at all. But he could be like a rim-running big that gets easy buckets for us, but we don't use him that way. And he could be used, much like I talked about Nurk, as kind of a facilitator when we're not getting good shots through pick and roll and stuff. But we're not doing that either. So
it's interesting that Zeller plays 18 minutes and Nance has his quietest game in a while. You got to find ways to utilize him no matter if he's at the 4 or the 5. So we haven't been able to utilize him when he plays the 4. I don't know why. Got to work on that. And then Robert Sub-Zero Covington, 0 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Yeah, like tonight, Rocco didn't do anything tonight noticeably on either end. I don't mind the 19 minutes for him. It's just interesting that Nance couldn't get more in that situation. They played Nas and Snell a lot at the power forward spot, which was weird because, yeah, those guys played about 12 minutes at the power forward spot, which is weird because we were missing our small forward. The minutes breakdown is very weird tonight. I don't know. I have nothing to say about him. Do you?
We need more from him.
Yeah. Yep.
And the 3 turnovers are just... I mean, he had 2 in the first few minutes, I think, and then 1 towards the beginning of the second half. It's just like we're trying to... It just kills us. Yeah. He had a third of our turnovers today. Yep. And you don't hit a shot. You have a third of our turnovers, and your closeouts have been really crappy. Like, it's just... That's a tough combination.
A lot of closeouts have been crappy, but Rocco's especially. He's, as our defensive guy, need to close out better. All right, that wraps up the player cards. Let's hop straight into Brant's breakdown. We have 2 plays to look at, so a little bit shorter segment today because we are doing our members-only watch party. If you missed out on it and want to be a part of the next one, hit the join button below this stream. That's how you can become a channel member, and you'll be able to watch the next one. It's pretty fun. All right, Brant's breakdown.
Well, you're loading that. So, yeah, Hyperprime. Well, Hyperprime says, I assume so. I just wanted to ask. I know it's a dumb question because we have to make a living, and I know you got this YouTube grind along with your website, but I was just curious. But I don't know what that was.
Yeah, me and him were having a conversation before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He just asked me what I do outside of YouTube.
Okay.
I just said work. I watch other sports and I game, and that's about it. Honestly, nothing too interesting, to be honest.
All right.
Brandt's breakdown. Let's get it.
All right. So in this particular play, I want you guys to watch Nasir Little, who is guarding Joe Ingles in the very top. Now, first of all, in this position, you're on the opposite side of the court. I don't know why he's playing so far up close to him, because any pass there, if he was a couple steps closer to the paint, he could still recover. But if you are going to play this close to him, like let's say Ingles is their best shooter and Nas's assignment is to just take him out, don't let him get the ball, right? Which would make sense. Like, maybe not in this particular game, but like, let's just say that was what Chauncey told him to do on this. So if that's the case, then yeah, maybe you want to play up like this and just deny him the ball. But this is why the rest of this play is so bad. So if you go to the next slide, Ingles starts to move. So not only is Nas playing up on him, but he doesn't even see him playing this close to him. So Ingles starts to move, and Nas just stands there, and Ingles has a good 3 steps on him by the time Nas even realizes that he's started to cut. And by this time, we're already doomed in this play. So as you go to the third slide, Nance tries to go under the screen somehow when he probably could have recovered over the top. And Ingles just stops, catches the ball. Gobert stands in front of him. And then Nas continues to try to go around from underneath the screen. And it results in a wide open 3 for Joe Ingles, which of course he makes. So Nas goes from being up way too tight on him, but if you're doing that, you have to be right next to him at all times. So if he moves, you move with him, right? And then instead he loses him, even though he was 1 step away from him, and then completely gets blown up by a screen that shouldn't even have affected him if he just trails him through here. And he probably contests this shot because Gobert's a good 2-3 feet away from Ingles. So Nas didn't even have to go through the screen. He could have just stayed with Ingles and stayed in the place. So this is just a case of, so the rest of the defense was pretty good on this play, and it just takes one person messing up and it ruins our whole defense. And it's inexcusable when you're playing that tight to him to not even notice him moving.
Oh, I was muted. I think I just broke my chair. That was loud, and I was muted. Thank goodness. Okay, I thought you guys heard that. I don't know what my chair just said. Anyway, yeah, like this situation, he should be closer. He should have like his right foot on the lane line, right? And you can get out and take away the shot if they kick out to Joe Ingles. In terms of how high he is, I actually like it because if Ingles cuts, like he has to kind of go towards Nas, so Nas will have time to suck down and like get in between him and the basket. So this gives Nas a little bit of a head start. He just has to have his head on a swivel. He's just caught ball watching. This is a situation where he should easily be able to stay attached to Joe Ingles here. And the fact that he's that far behind, that's just him getting caught ball watching and not being ready for this play at all.
Yep.
So falling asleep off ball.
Yep. And so this is just an example of a mistake that Nas is making too often. As to why, like on ball, he's doing a pretty good job. He's one of our better on ball defenders. But when you make mistakes like this, and not only are you making the mistake, but this is a constant thing where he's just getting screened and he just gets completely taken out of a play with one screen. It's not just their guards. So yeah, it's just tough. And then you think about this too, the position he's in the first slide. Is so Gobert. What did we talk about at the beginning? How he had those rolls down the middle where he got lob passes for dunks, right? If if Gobert lobs or goes down the middle instead of going to set the screen for Ingles, Nas isn't in a position to contest that either because he's so far out. So,
Yeah, I'll go
yeah,
back to that first play to show, or the first part of this play to showcase that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gobert doesn't roll on this particular play, but if he does roll right here instead of going to set a pick for Ingles, then he probably gets an open dunk because Zeller's focused on the ball and Nas is worried about Ingles even though he's completely on the other side of the court.
Yep. Reese is out here lying in chat. I wouldn't say Nas simply isn't good on both ends of the floor. He's good defending off on the ball, in my opinion. He's been bad off the ball. Offensively, it's not that he's not good. I like he's been solid offensively. He struggled to shoot the three, but like as a slasher, he's been good. So he's good at certain things.
This is why he needs reps, and I mean he hasn't gotten consistent playing time before this year. So like this is something that you can't do, but you also need to make this mistake a couple times, and the coach needs to show you why it's important you don't make this mistake, and then it's how you respond to it, like we've been talking about all year. So this is an easily credible thing, and then we don't give up a three on this play, and maybe we're tied at halftime or something because we didn't give a wide open three. It's like that's the difference in a game, and that's also the difference between being a 28th rated defense and like 10th to 15th is just like 1 or 2 3-pointers a game can change their defensive rating completely like that.
Yep, exactly. All right, so the second and final play we got. What do we got here?
So once again, not picking on Nas, it just happened to be the two most glaring examples of this game. And so on this play, it's an inbound pass, and there's 2.7 seconds left. And as you roll to the next slide, Nas is guarding Clarkson. He's on the elbow, on the far elbow. Yeah. Okay. And this is just multiple people's fault. But and then you go to the next slide. I have to wait for it to. Okay. So Nas just guesses and comes towards the ball thinking Clarkson is going to, and Clarkson fades. Rudy Gobert picks him off, and instead of being, once again, just standing right next to Clarkson would have been all you would have had to do on this is fine. And then as you go to the next slide, Nas tries to go over and around the Gobert pick instead of just cutting back to the outside. And by that time, Gobert is already released. Nas isn't even close to Clarkson, and now he's out of position. Instead of Zeller does a good job of getting Clarkson because Nas is so far away. But then Nas has no business going to Clarkson at this point. He should have switched to Gobert if he was that far away from the play, because you're not going to get there in time. 2.7 seconds left. So Gobert just releases down the middle of the key. Nance and CJ are late on the help, and it's an easy dunk. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, are you muted?
No, I was muted. I'm so upset. Yeah, I was muted. So, all right, I'll explain this again. Apologies. So, this situation, he just needs to trail Clarkson in this situation, because if Clarkson tries to flare back, he'll go right into Nas. He can't flare back like he did in this play. The only reason he was able to flare back here is because Nas went under the screen, tried to guess, right? So he needs to follow Clarkson through this screen. So Clarkson can't flare back. If he's attached to Clarkson and on his back, and Clarkson catches the ball, Clarkson probably isn't going to be able to get off a three. as long as Nas makes sure to just stay close enough to him. So what's Clarkson going to do? Drive at Zeller? Okay, Zeller helps onto him. At that point, there's 1 second left, and he's being guarded by 2 people. Or he can kick to Rudy Gobert for a jump shot, a mid-range jump shot, which you will live with any day. Any day. So it's just simple. He just needs to stay attached to him and follow him through the screen. He just has to follow him, and he does this.
And what do we say with about this much time left in the freaking Korkmaz game? If you get switched or if you get picked, it should be an automatic switch and with like less than 3 seconds left. So Zeller does the right move here. Nas doesn't recover, but that shouldn't. Aeromancer says, well, that's Zeller's fault for not telling him to switch. No, it's Zeller can't. Zeller can't think that Nas is going to go completely around the play and end up like way beyond the 3-point line and completely incapable of guarding anyone at this point. Like he's got no one to guard. And so like that's not on Zeller in that opinion. Yes, the communication needs to be better, but in that situation, that should have been an automatic sign to switch if you got that held up on a screen or couldn't get around it or went the wrong way or whatever.
I mean, at some point, Nas, you have to recognize the situation. You have to recognize the situation. So, like, it's on Nas here. The thing is even if they do an unplanned switch here, it's still going to be hard for Nas because he's likely going to still be trying to get back to Clarkson, then on Gobert's high side, and even if he stays with Gobert's probably going to get good position. So, like, it's just a very bad position to be in the first place because of what Nas did. But, like, at this point, or, like, a half second before this, he needs to realize, okay, Zeller's closing out. I need to stay attached to the guy that was screening me. Zeller switched out, and he still tries to follow Clarkson back. So that's on Nas. You got to recognize that situation.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So, yeah, not to pick on Nas, but, like, I mean, that's 2 plays where he was nowhere near his guy by the time the guy got the ball. And that's just examples of defensive breakdowns that just kill a team defense and a structure. And it has nothing to do with size, has nothing to do with ability. It's just knowing what to do in those situations. And
these things happen far more often on the road than at home.
Yeah.
So it comes down to focus. It comes down to effort.
Well, honestly, though, like this is what happened on the time where Levine got the wide open 3 to tie it against the Bulls that he missed.
Yeah, I mean, it still happens.
Nas gets... No, I'm just saying, like, this has been, like, kind of a common thing with Nas.
Yeah.
And Romp, we can't send him down to the G League because we don't have a G League team, so joke's on you.
Yeah, we don't have a freaking G League team for whatever reason. So.
But, yeah, so... it's just something that Nas has to do a much better job, and that's probably one of the reasons why he's not getting as many minutes as people want him to get, because he just needs to do a better job of recognizing what to do in those situations. And I still think it just takes he just needs reps. I think the flashes are there to him being a really good defensive player, and we need him to be a good defensive player when all is said and done, because he's one of the few guys that's quick and has length on the wings. But yeah, he just has to do a better job off ball in those situations.
Yep, I agree with that. So we're not going to watch the Chauncey interview tonight. We've been streaming for like 4 hours straight and had a stream earlier today as well, so lots of streaming. And we got to stream tomorrow night as well. Tomorrow night's stream will be live like approximately 25 to 30 minutes after the game because I am going to the game. I could teach you how to do all these graphics, Eric, because I think everything that I set up, if you just logged into my Streamlabs account, you would be able to have the whole entire setup as well. And obviously Krish makes the graphics. So at some point we just need to figure out things on Eric's end. I just don't know if your laptop could handle it because it is a lot of things graphically. We'll maybe have to test it out. But yeah, so I'm going to the game tomorrow. Got a great deal on tickets. Going to be sitting 100 level row D, like 106 row D, something like that. Going to see Cade. So that'll be cool. Yeah, I wanted to see Cade, and then I forgot that game was tomorrow, and I got last second ticket offer. So yeah, let's go around the NBA We are ready to go for that. We're going to go quick with these. Do you have picks against the spread records updated for today? Just our today's records.
I don't have the records. I could tell you who won each game.
Okay. Sure, let's do that. That's fun.
Okay.
I won't talk about the actual game as much.
All
Let's just hop into things here. We had 9 games today. No, that's not updated. I thought I updated it. Let me redo this. It'll be quick. Trust me on that. All right, around the NBA. Boom. There we go. The Magic, I assume, are wearing orange jerseys. Look at that orange logo. I don't know. Or maybe he wanted to create a color difference. So good old orange, which is just a weird color for Magic. The Magic lose 96-101. The Philadelphia 76ers were 13.5-point favorites. I still can't figure out how to pick their game spreads. Romp, who is our resident Sixers fan. I don't know if he's still here. I don't know how to pick the Sixers, man. They confused the hell out of me. They only win by 5. They were favored by 13.5. Who picked that game right, Eric?
So myself, Zach, Trevin, and Reese all had the Magic. Jackson, Tori, Krish, and Chat had Sixers in that one.
Unfortunate. Game number 2, the Nuggets beat the Heat 121-11. Jimmy Butler doesn't play in this one. Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, of course, were out for the Denver Nuggets. They've been bit by the injury bug. Jokic, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. 24 points for Bam. Good center matchup. Who picked this game right?
Everyone but Krish, who had his double down on this game for the Heat, won, and I won my double down with the Nuggets.
Yeah. So the Nuggets are now at 510-10. If you don't know what we're talking about, every Monday and Thursday on our second channel, we host a segment called Picks Against the Spread, where we pick that game's spreads. Me, Eric, all our mods, and chat. We do chat polls, so chat can pick as well. So definitely catch the next one on Thursday to participate in that. It's a fun time. The second channel link is in the description box below. Game number 3, the Rockets and the Thunder. A potential finals preview. 102-89. The Rockets take care of business. Eric, what was the... who won this?
So you, Krish, and Zach with his double down on the Rockets won. Myself, Reese, Trevin with his double down, Jackson, and Chat all lost this one.
Yep. Now, game number 4 was a brutal one. You got Timberwolves Pacers. The Timberwolves were favored by 2.5 points. The Pacers, with 2 seconds left, were down 4. They miss a shot and then get a putback at the buzzer to cut it to 2. So Minnesota was favored by 2.5, only won by 2. So it was maybe the worst beat of the season for picks against the spread this year. The Pacers with the backdoor last-second putback, meaningless putback cover. Freaking Keelan Martin, man. For the Timberwolves, Karl-Anthony Towns, 32 points. Big game for him. Brogdon, 25 for the Pacers. Who got the lucky win and who got the bad beat in this one?
Krish and Chat, that was one of the ones that you were talking about. Chat hardly ever goes with against the grain, and they got super lucky in this one.
See, you need to do it more, Chat. Congratulations.
They need to get lucky more.
Yeah, lucky. You guys got so lucky. Oh my god, I'm so annoyed. But yeah, 198 for that game. Bad beat for everybody else other than Chat and Krish. Tough one. The Bulls beat the Hornets 133-119. The Hornets have been playing good. The Bulls had been playing bad. So naturally, I picked the Hornets. The Bulls were 4-point favorites, and it came back to bite me. Terry Rozier, 31 points. Vucevic, 30 in the win for Chicago, who took care of business with this one.
You, Krish, Zach, and Chat all lost with the Hornets. Reese, Jackson, myself, and Trevin won with the Bulls.
Depressing. 116-99, San Antonio beats the Wizards. This is 17 points lost for Washington. They started off the season hot. They are now looking like the team people expected them to be. That's a hard team to figure out. The Spurs get 22, 10, and 8 from DeJounte Murray. Big game for him. 24 for Derek White. The Wizards in the loss. Bradley Beal, 8 for 21. Only 18 points for their star. Who took care of business?
Jackson was
one person.
double down island for the Spurs. We all had the Wizards except for him, and he doubled down and got it right.
Yep, double downs basically, right? Like you pick the game correctly, you get a win. If you pick the game wrong, you get a loss. Double downs mean that for one game, you get either 2 wins or 2 losses. So it's supposed to be the most confident pick of the night, your most confident pick, you usually double down on because you want 2 wins for 1 game. So Jackson was the only one who picked San Antonio, and he felt like being bold and doubled down on it. So he's been leading picks against the spread and gets the double down island to his advantage. Let's move on. Cleveland blew out the Mavericks at home. So, I mean, there's other Western Conference playoff teams with some issues, and Dallas is one of them. They've faced a really easy schedule. They got eviscerated by the Cavs, 114-96. Who took care of business, Eric?
Zach and Chris were the only 2 that picked the Mavericks, so everyone else is good.
Yeah. Unlucky for those guys. Jared Allen, 28 points, 14 boards, 3 assists.
At this point, the Cavs were up 30. The Timberwolves were up 4 with 6 seconds left. I'm sitting there thinking I'm going to be 6-1. And do you know what I finished tonight with?
What'd you finish tonight?
5-4, I think.
Ooh, you were looking better than me, but these last few games, Eric, I doubled down on the Jazz. The Jazz were 7.5-point favorites against the Blazers. I don't know why people keep picking the Blazers on the road. People picked they were doubling down on the Blazers against Golden State on Friday. We had a Friday stream because we didn't do it Thursday because of Thanksgiving. And I don't get it. So, Jazz win. We've already talked about the game. Who picked the Blazers, Eric?
I was dumb and picked the Blazers because of the 7.5-point spread. Zach and Chris joined me, as they always do. And we were the 3 losers tonight.
Unfortunate. And then the final game. The Clippers were favored by 7. And they lost by 19 because Jonas Valanciunas. Did you see his stat line yet, Eric?
No, I did not.
Jonas Valanciunas, 39 points, 15 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 15 for 24 from the field, 7 for 8 from 3.
What? All right.
That is one of the most shocking stat lines of the season. You also have Herb Jones, 34 minutes, 16 points, 6 for 10 from the field. Brandon Ingram, 27 points, 12 for 18 from the field. So those 3, their big 3, Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Ingram, and Herb Jones, man. And Zion's coming back soon. This is a Pelicans team that is starting to look a lot better recently, and they get the win over the Clippers. Paul George, the only guy that did anything really for the Clippers, 27 points. Who picked the Pelicans as 7-point underdogs? And
this was a split vote. Jackson, Tori, Zach, and Chris had Pelicans.
Yeah. So I picked Pelicans. I doubled down on the Jazz. I picked the Cavs. So things ended well. My record was, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think you finished 5-6. I think I did 6-5 or 7-4. I don't remember.
You finished 7-4.
Cool. Awesome. Me and Eric were in a tie heading into today. Dang, things flipped because I was looking bad.
There's only 9 games, so.
Yeah, but double.
Yeah, so it would have been 10. So 7-4 is wrong.
6-4. I think I'm 6-4.
Yeah, 3-3, 4-3.
One of the mods usually has this for us.
3-4. 5. Yeah, 6-4.
6-4. Okay, and you said you went 5-5.
Hold on, I'm still tabulating.
Tabulating, what a word. Anyway, shout out to Dro, $2 dono. He says Nurk and Nance set a double screen for Dame. Simple. Would like to see more Nurk and Nance. Let me just thank that dono right now while you tabulate that. Let's look at notable for performances. I don't have them ready yet. Do I have them here? No, we didn't do notable performances. That's fine. I actually told Chris to stop doing them. I think so. We got the Western Conference standings here. Let me know once you got your record for picks against the spread because I'm curious.
Okay.
Golden State 18-2, Phoenix 17-3. Those teams face each other tomorrow, I think, which is going to be a great matchup. Phoenix, of course, has won 16 in a row, so they are looking like contenders once again. Utah beats us 14-7. We are now down to 10th, unfortunately, but we are literally only a game out of 5th. We're only a game out of 5th. The Clippers lost tonight. Are the Clippers right? The Clippers are 11-10. So Chris didn't update the standings for the final game. We're only a game out of 4th. Clippers are at 11-10. We're only a game out of 4th. We're 10th. We're only a game out of 4th. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams within a game here, right? And we probably have the easiest schedule out of all of them. And we've probably shown that we have the highest ceiling out of all of them with how we've played at home. So things could be a lot worse. Things aren't bad right now. Got to take care of business tomorrow against Detroit, of course. Eastern Conference standings. Brooklyn's number 1. You got a lot of teams with 8 losses. A lot of teams right there. Milwaukee continues to climb. You got, I don't know, things are starting to look a little bit more normal. Atlanta's starting to play better. But you got 11 teams in the East above 500 right now.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I mean, Toronto at 12 is 9-12. They're close to 500 as well. And Indiana's been playing a little bit better until today. They lose to Minnesota. I mean, jam-packed East. And if you want to see our power rankings, we drop power rankings today on our website, blazersuprise.com. We drop power rankings every Monday. We always tweet them out on Twitter when we drop them. Our Twitter handle is @BlazersUpriseYT for the channel. Let's look at the next 5 games. We come home. Thank goodness. We come home. Detroit and San Antonio, Eric. We better be 12-11 after San Antonio. Gotta go at least 3-1 on this home.
11-11, you mean?
No, we're 10-11 right now, so we got to be 12-11 after those next 2 games.
Oh, I thought you meant just after the Detroit game.
Nah, but I mean, San Antonio is kind of a bottom feeder. They're like borderline bottom feeder in my opinion. I mean, they took care of business tonight, but they're
got to beat them at home. Yeah,
6-13. Like, we better be 12-11. Honestly, got to go at least 3-1, but the goal should be 4-0 on this homestand. We blew out the Clippers at home last time we played them. The Celtics have been very mediocre, and we'll be on a West Coast road trip. And it's San Antonio and Detroit. We should be 14-11 after this homestand, and then you go on the road and take on the Warriors, and that's probably a loss, right? So 14-12. Like, go 4-1 over the next 5 games. That's the goal as we look ahead.
Definitely take 4-1 at this point on this for those 5.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We will go ahead.
I'll just say I have the records.
All right, what are the records?
Chris was the worst at 3-8.
Chris was on bottom 2's last, so he continues to struggle.
3-7. Chat was 4-6.
Dang, Chat, come on.
Myself, Trevin, Reese, and Zach all 5-5. So you had the second best day at 6-4, and our first place, Jackson, was 7-3. So after
Jackson,
he was 2-3 at one point today, and won all the last 4 games. So
he's been on top the whole season. So yeah, things are pretty jammed up in picks against the spread. If you want to partake or see the standings, just tune in to Blazers Uprise Live Mondays, Thursdays, 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Alrighty, Eric, that wraps up everything, every segment, everything we have to cover in this one. So if you have any other thoughts on this game.
No, thanks everyone for watching. And we're not trying to be rude or anything on purpose to anyone. It's just gets frustrating when people only make those kind of comments when
it's rude
you're down.
To us. Yeah. It's rude to us for people to come in here, ignore what we're saying, and then put words in our mouth that are the exact opposite of what we just said. Like that's rude to us. So yeah, I'm going to start getting frustrated with that. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to deal with it in losses, to be honest with y'all. But normally at this point in the stream, the people here, the people left, Eric, are the people that are normally like at least respectful. And even if they disagree, like, we can have a conversation. It's funny how, like, at the start, it's just a bunch of chaos and toxic stuff. And then at the end, we're chilling. And it's pretty chill in chat now. Eric says facts. Don't step to us like that. Shout out Eric Olson, man. I apologize for stepping to you, Eric Olson. How dare I? Anyway, anything else you got, man?
Well, thank you everyone for watching, and it was fun getting to watch the game with some of you. If you want to watch the next one, become a channel member by hitting that join button below. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and hopefully we talk to you guys after a win tomorrow, so it's a little lighter mood.
Fingers crossed. I'll get home as soon as I can after the game tomorrow. and we will have a post-game show for that, so I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up. We will catch you less than 24 hours from now with the post-game show after Pistons versus Blazers. Until then, have a good rest of your night, and as always, peace out. Go Blazers.